what is leadership for you?
Um, um, if I really thought about having to define that, I think leadership, or where I see myself kind
Mm-hmm.
of playing that role on a little bit more practical reason or way, it's sometimes just having the ability to take a step back and being able to see the forest, to kind of
Mm-hmm.
go, yeah, I think this is the direction that we all of us agreed that we wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, there'll be tangents. Along the way, there'll be stuff coming from the right, stuff coming from the left, trying to deal with all that, but still making sure we're all going in the direction that we wanted to go originally, right? And in the direction that we've all agreed to. So how do I play the catalyst and play the blocker of things so that we can still keep going in the right direction? And then I go back to how do I do that while trying to get the people around me all to be the best versions of themselves, because that's what I want for myself. I just want to be the best version that I can be. I want to be the best father to my children. I want to be the best son to my father, the best uncle, the best husband, right? And within my team, I think every single person wants to be the best that they can be as a part of the team. So I think part of my job is to see what type of environment that we can try to incubate so that everyone can actually achieve that as fast and as the most authentic way that they want to do that.
Mm-hmm. What would you say would be the top three problems that they normally face?
Mm, great question. Most of the people, and this is just my experience, but most of the folks that we deal with still, whether you've got a digital platform, whether you're selling consumer goods, whether you've got a service or you're a government, the end of the day, so much of what they do and how they do it and why they do it has to do with people, humans, right? You might have a big, amazing engine, you might have a wonderful algorithm, but
Mm-hmm.
within that entire kind of S curve of your growth and within the entire value chain that you've got, people play a really significant role in that, whether it's people of your own that work for you, that help you with the supply chain, the people that will help buy your stuff so that they can continue providing that kind of virtuous cycle to you in terms of dollars and value. So I think that's one big challenge is people. How do they continue to stay relevant with their people? How do they make their people just love them, continue to like them? We use the word remarkability quite a lot because you want people to remark on you. You want people, at least today. Today, the kind of currency is I want to love, like, share, right, and comment, right. So that's remarking on something. So how do you make the people feel like they're in a remarkable spot by being a part of your group, being
Mm-hmm.
part of your tribe, your journey? So I think people's kind of one big big thing that will always be an issue, right? I think the other one, which is wonderful that we're talking about now,
Mm-hmm.
and I think has always been a problem, but it's kind of really accelerated, is the planet side,
Mm-hmm.
right? The changes. I think back in the day, and even we see that so much now still, like there's so many big corporations and people that kind of view the world as a zero-sum game. So if I take this, somebody must lose this. If I gain, somebody must lose, and if somebody else gains, I must lose. And that's probably why our competitive nature is actually really really bad, in my opinion. That has forced us to kind of see that in order for us to gain, we have to manipulate the environment, we have to manipulate
Mm-hmm.
the plants and the flora and the fauna. And so I think the idea of how do you get the triple bottom line, how do you get the people to really be amazing, how do you get to do that and do well by the planet? And then
Mm-hmm.
the last piece is the profits, right? The triple bottom line, the profits. I
Mm-hmm.
think in for terms of the profits, probably I'd say the biggest issue there is probably flexibility. Like how, knowing that this world, the rate of change continues to accelerate, how do you always keep up, and how do you make sure that you are always flexible so that your how and your means can always stay relevant to always achieve the same ends that we've always had? So I in a macro sense, I always think that the big issues kind of go back to the people, goes now so much more than before, the planet. And I think that's only going to accelerate. And then the profits becomes important
Mhm.
because profits almost like your lifeblood. It's your blood. Without it, you can't function. But with it, you can start thinking about bigger order stuff. How do I make this world better? How do I achieve nirvana? Whatever it is that you want, right? But you need that lifeblood, which is for most organizations the profit. And I think the big part about the profit is how do you become flexible so that you can
Mhm.
adapt. It's almost kind of going back to Darwin, right? Survival of the fittest, which is really survival of those that can adapt the best, the fastest, and the most optimal. So I think those three: people, planet, profits, and profits in terms of adaptability and flexibility.
What are the other leadership skills and capabilities that they should have or leaders should have in the next normal to continue to lead effectively?
No, yeah, I'm honestly, I'm probably a bad person to ask because I think I'm just a so-so leader. But I mean, if I think about what I wish I would do more, right?
Mhm.
I think, I think I wish I would listen more. That's one,
Mhm.
because like I think the ability to listen
Mhm.
um, allows you to potentially really know better the
Mhm.
type of authenticity that people want and the type
Mhm.
of leaders that each other people that are working with you that they want to become, and maybe you
Mhm.
can help them become the best version of themselves, and in doing that
Mhm.
you can help yourself become the best version of yourself. So I think I say one part is just listen, because you're one
Mhm.
person, right? And if there's 30 of you in a team, shouldn't and it isn't it better if all 30 kind of have their minds working together and we're all collectively, so
Exactly.
all of us added is actually better than 30 as opposed to everyone listening to one person? It doesn't make it makes zero sense, right? So I
Exactly.
think for that person to just spend
Mhm.
more time listening, which I'm really bad at, so I'm trying to work on that. So that's one. And then I don't want to keep going back to the same thing, but as we mentioned before, I think the ability to just be really agile. People use agile, you gotta pivot, like all buzzwords, but it's all means the same thing. It's like, let's change, but you change because you've got the focus on the same thing. You've got the focus. That focus doesn't change. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. For us at
Mhm.
Ambrands, we're trying to build this as big as possible and as flourishing an advertising agency, but focus on doing good things. And we're just, sometimes you're naive. I'm naive. I'm just like, we can do this. We can have our cake. We can make lots of money and be good. But sometimes it works, right? Which is always a wonderful thing. So I think that having the ability to just kind of go with it, go up and down, and it's okay. It's okay to kind of change. It's okay to bend. It's okay to do all this, but you do all that because you're always leading towards that same goal that you've always had. And sometimes goals might change, but
Mhm.
most of the time they don't. The same. I'm 45 years old. I've had the same goal since I was a little kid. I just want to be a good husband. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good, I want to be a good business partner to my business, the other leaders of the company, right? I want to be a good person. I want to get rid of my insecurities. Like most of us have the same goals that we've always had, right?
Mhm.
But how do we adjust so that we can use new technology? We can use a different way of doing. We go back to how it was 30 years ago because everything goes around in a cycle, so that we be adaptable, we can be flexible, agile, and whatnot. We can pivot easily to achieve that same goal that you've got.